What do you do with that? And because, interestingly, even here it's being brought to the forefront that God's holiness is so profound that sin cannot be in His presence, but we can't be the ones to resolve that. God has to be the one to resolve it. He's the one who gets to set the terms of His own presence. He's the one who is the only one powerful enough to resolve sin. In fact, actually, the way the confession talks about this, I think it's very helpful, that the entirety of the Old Testament is structured to teach us about Jesus, but to teach us through signs and pictures and shadows and laws. And verses 1 through 4 is a portrait of that. It's prepping us to understand what the ministry of Jesus would be, that when we sin, sin automatically cuts us off from the presence of God. Now, this is a very important point to get, but one that is perhaps not politically correct. We like to think about the idea of sin, we like to think about the idea of wrong as being tacky, as being uncouth, as being politically incorrect, as being, awkward. But the reality is we think about it in terms of how it's oftentimes destructive for us, but we not naturally anymore think about the fact that the very essence of sin is to separate from God Himself. God and sin do not dwell together, and if we've sinned, there's a problem. Numbers chapter 5, verses 1 through 4 is already setting the people of God up to be thinking about Jesus, to say, is there a way to deal with my uncleanness? Is there a way to deal with the things that I have done in the past that have marked me as defiled? Is there a way to deal with the things that I've done in private that no one knows about, that even now I'm hiding away in my heart? Is there a way to deal with the things that are going to come to my mind when I sit down at the Lord's table in just a moment? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. That every time you go to the supper, those are the thoughts that pop in your head, the things that you've done, the list of the things that you can't get rid of. How? How do we resolve sin? How do we resolve the contamination of sin? How do we resolve being defiled? Well, Numbers chapter 5 points us to Leviticus, the sacrificial system. Leviticus and Numbers both point us to Jesus.